Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Requiem. This is going to be a fun one today because we're going to be talking about one of New Zealand's great actors, Karl Urban. And over here we've got Garth. Garth, how's it going?
All right, good to be here for this. I studied up because I realized out of all those movies I'd only seen like 15, so I'd only seen half of them. So I studied up and watched a bunch.
But we've also got Richie here. Richie, how's it going?
Yeah, no, pretty good. Yeah, excited to talk about Karl Urban. Good New Zealand lad. New Zealand, my home away from home. I spent a lot of time in New Zealand. So yeah, and Karl Urban's definitely one of the more successful actors to come from there. So yeah, no, looking forward to it.
Also here we've got Jordan. Jordan, how's it going?
It's going good. Yeah, it's always a good time here in Rankum, so I'm excited to hash out these Karl Urban movies. It would be fun.
And last but not least, we've got Chris. Chris, how's it going?
Going good. Here to talk about actually you love in both movie and TV. He'll always be butchered to me, but he'll also be another well in movies as well.
With that being said, how Rankum works is we each go around in a round table discussion, bring up a Karl Urban movie we think belongs on a top 12 list, and then if it gets the majority of the yeses, then it will make this list. But with that being said, I'm going to go to Garth. Garth, what is the first movie you're going to bring up?
All right. Well, I mean, you see my room around me, and so you know I'm a Marvel guy, so I'm going to be very predictable, and I'm going to go with Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, sorry. Thor Ragnarok. I had Thunder on my mind because I just watched it.
It's all good.
But yeah, Richie, what do you say about Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah, I was gonna say Thor: Love and Thunder. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I don't think we can nominate it, can we?
Yeah, you can nominate it because it's still in the theaters. But Ragnarok, yeah, I love Ragnarok. I think it revitalized. Before Ragnarok, Thor was my just on screen anyway. It was the least interesting character in terms of movies. I thought that wasn't not a huge fan of the previous two. Ragnarok is great, and yeah, Karl Urban's great in this movie. So I would say yes.
Chris, what do you say about Thor Ragnarok?
This was on my list. I love this movie to death. It's one of my favorite Marvel's MCU sequel. I see hysterical. I see Taika Waititi directing great. I see Karl Urban really good in the movie. You get a couple of good last battling with his two guns, like when he get introduced to him. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is easily the best out of the Thor movie. They're my favorite up to date so far. So, yeah.
And Jordan, what do you say about Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah, I think Thor Ragnarok is a great movie. I love it. I love what Taika Waititi brought to the table. He kind of livened up the character, which some people may have thought was a bit dull, and he really livened them up and made it fun. But in my opinion, still showed the power Thor has. But then also, Karl Urban as the executioner in there, and he's pretty funny. He's powerful. He's a great character. So I'll say yes. Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok is an easy yes for me as well. I really do love this movie. And I can confirm, I went through the cast list. He's not in Thor: Love and Thunder, so
Yeah, someone who's seen the movie already, he not in Love and Thunder.
When Korg's talking about people who died, there's a flash.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Thor Ragnarok is going to make this list. Richie, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
All right, I'm going to bring up one of my sort of favorite movies from the last few years. Movie that should need a sequel, but not enough people saw it. But it's a great movie, and it redeemed the sliced alone version in the '90s. So I'm gonna go Dread. Dread is an amazing movie. I love Dread. I think it's just a fun, great action film. Like just yeah, it's almost like I think I talk about this on Tournament Fight. It's almost like almost a version of the Raid with guns. just in a warehouse. Lena Headey's really good as a villain. And I think this is when people think Karl Urban, that this is one of the ones that come up that springs to mind. Maybe before Thor Ragnarok, I don't know, but yeah, Dread definitely.
Chris, what do you say about Dread?
I love Dread. I saw it in theater in 3D. One of the best 3D experiences I had in theater. It great action, great character. Nick Headley is really good villain. John Gleason great small cameo. Like I told Jane, like any movie that I heard that deserves a sequel, Dread. Like that lot of world they live in, I think it works so well. Like Karl Urban is a phenomenal Dread. You, the fact that you don't even see his face at all, I think, really works well with the character. His voice is so intimidating and threatening. A little darkly humorous, so yes, hell yes to Dread.
Jordan, what do you say about Dread?
Oh yeah, it's an easy yes. Yeah, Dread's awesome, and I agree with Richie. Like it's a lot along the lines of the Raid, kind of set in the future, and I like what they do with the whole slow mo stuff. And I also agree with Chris about the 3D. It's probably one of the better 3D movies I've ever seen, and yeah, it's awesome. And one little like 2-second story I always like to tell is that I met Karl Urban at a Comic-Con, but I had not seen Dread yet. And like some reason I kept kicking myself, like, how am I going to meet this guy? I haven't seen freaking Dread yet. And the movie had been out for years. It wasn't like it was anything new. So, but yeah, Dread's an easy yes though for me.
Yeah, it took me a while to get on to Dread because I didn't see this when it first came out. I saw it probably a couple of years ago. But yeah, I really do like Dread. I had no expectations sort of going into this because my only thought of Judge Dredd, of the character of Judge Dredd, was the 90s movie, and like which I've still not seen just because I thought it looked dumb. So that's probably why I sort of hesitantly wanted to go see this one. But that being said, it's a fun movie. Like I think that I will say probably never say never to a sequel because I think if they decide they wanted to give it a shot, they might do it, but it might be too late at this point. But
Yes
Garth,
to a sequel. Yes, absolutely.
but Garth, what do you say about Dread?
Oh yeah, definite yes for me. I got the comics right over there on my bookcase. Big fan of how they handled this. The first one was kind of a goofy comedy, thrown in Rob Reiner and stuff, and this one was much more serious. Like these guys already mentioned, the Raid and the Raid Redemption. It was much more in that sort of thing. And Lena Headey is a great villain. So yeah.
But if that Dread does make this list, Chris, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
So I did shoot for outside the box a little bit. We did some order something. I did watch it last night to prepare for this. I'm going to go with the most recent one, The Sea Beast on Netflix. I think this is a film I had very little expectation going in watching Netflix. I had no idea what about, but I watched it in order to select. And it's a beautifully well done film movie. Beautiful animation. I think the message of it, that because we can do one of it, a really strong message in the kid movie. I think the voice acting is phenomenal across the board. I think the creature design is really good. I think it's a touching story. It had like great moments, especially to the end. And it kind of like Pirate of the Caribbean, we had a train dragon a little bit, and that way actually did fall in love with the movie. I fell in love with the main character. Karl Urban did a really good job. I think that one of his first time doing voice acting, he just brings so much comedy style and funny moment and relative style, and that relationship he had with the kid, like kind of their bonding really touching. Nobody haven't seen it yet. Definitely check out. One of the biggest surprises I've seen this year, and I'm happy of watching on this list.
Jordan, have you got around to seeing the Sea Beast yet?
I haven't yet, but it is one that's on my radar actually. Like it's one that looks pretty interesting, but I just haven't seen it, so I can't really say yes to it because I haven't seen it. So I'll say no.
Yeah, I'm in the same, but I've been really busy this weekend. I haven't had a chance to see the Sea Beast. It's one that I was going to because Garth did say watch it as it's coming out, but I just haven't had the chance. Garth, what do you say about the Sea Beast?
I say yes. It actually surprised me. I thought, oh, animated direct to Netflix, maybe it's not going to be good, but it's actually done very well. And I was also surprised by the details the animation throws in when they're out on the ocean and stuff. If you behind them, you see these little blips, and you're like, "What's that?" Oh, it's seagulls. They put like seagulls way in the background, just to show that they're and just a little amazing details. The monsters are very interesting. There's a wide variety. One they pick up along the way, Little Blue is a cute thing, and
So cute.
I imagine there's going to be some toys out there of Blue for the kids, and yeah, it's definitely one that you should check out if you haven't seen it.
The better Gerard Harris movie of the year so far.
But Richie, it's on you. Have you seen the Sea Beast?
I didn't get around to it. I'm sorry, but yeah, I reckon if we did a Redux version of this, it might be on there. But because it does look good. I like the animation. I've seen the trailer. The animation looks great. But yeah, I regretfully I didn't get around to it. So yeah.
I hope Karl Urban does more voice acting in the future because he does a pretty good job in the movie.
But Jordan, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
So I'll just shoot for the stars here on this one as a popular one, but I'm gonna go with Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers. The Two Towers is my favorite Lord of the Rings movie. I really like his character of Éomer, and he kind of plays kind of like a good kind of like almost like a side story. I mean, I know it's part of the whole overall thing, but he's kind of palling around with. I believe it's Merry and Pippin, if I'm not mistaken. But and yeah, it's a really interesting character, and kind of like what kind of turned me on to Karl Urban as far as like, man, this guy's gonna be like a star. This guy's gonna be really, really good. We'll see him pop up in some more stuff. I'm pretty sure of it. So yeah, Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers. I'll go with that.
Oh yeah, I mean it's safe to say that Lord of the Rings is probably what catapulted Karl Urban onto the scene easily.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Lord of the Rings. I was actually in the middle of my rewatch of them as well, just slowly going through the extended editions.
Yep. That's the only way to do it. The extended.
But yeah, it's an easy yes for me for the Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. Garth, what do you say about Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers?
Yes, this was next on my list to bring up, and as you said, this made him a name. But of course, before that, it was smaller ones. It's not like The Price of Milk is going to make him worldwide famous. But these movies were done brilliantly. Malcolm did an awesome job directing them.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, it's definite yes.
Richie, what do you say about Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers?
Two Towers is my favorite Lord of the Rings as well. I think it's a fantastic movie. I really like the battle at the end, and yeah, Karl Urban's great in it. And yeah, I mean, I know it's movies, but Two Towers is also the best video game out of the Lord of the Rings franchise as well. Just throwing it out there. So I'd say yes.
And Chris, what would you have said about Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers?
Easy yes for me. This is. I had to think which one I like better between this and Return of the King, but I do love this movie a lot. I mean, Karl Urban great, the Battle of Helm's Deep is phenomenal, and there's so much to love about this movie. Easy yes for me.
But with that, for my next one, I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to shoot the shot anyway. I'm bringing up Out of the Blue. Look, this is a great movie. It basically tells the story of the last really bad mass shooting that happened in New Zealand. Then before the government started stepping in, maybe we need restrictions on guns. The certain country needs education in that. um, but no shots there fired, not add on at all. But look, um, it's a really good movie. It's not one that's a easy watch, but then again, anything which tells us a big traumatic thing like this is never an easy watch. But it's a good movie all the same. I do not know how this is going to go because Richie's probably the only one who's seen it. But Garth, what do you say about Out of the Blue?
No, you mentioned it in the chat to check it out, so I did. I watched it, and it was tough to get through. And there are many movies that I've seen that I know are good and they're well made, like Requiem for a Dream, where you watch it once and you never want to watch it again. And this is one of those. It's just very rough subject matter, especially in the current climate. And although it's well made, I'm sorry, I can't put this in the top 12.
Richie, what do you say about Out of the Blue?
Yeah, I do think it's one of it's a movie that people should check out, but also note that it's not easy to watch. And I totally get where guys are coming from. But just on performance and everything, I would say yes. But yeah.
Chris, what do you say about Out of the Blue?
This is a film that I've wanted to watch, but I got to get around to watching it because I've been busy a little bit. But you guys recommended it on my list. I just need to find the right mood to watch the film because it's not the subject matter. So.
And Jordan, what do you say about Out of the Blue?
Yeah, I also haven't seen it, but I mean, it sounds like an interesting subject matter. I mean, I definitely can see how it might be hard to watch. I was just reading the synopsis that says after killing his neighbor, David Gray sets fire to the man's house with children inside and shoots anyone else who wanders into range. That just sounds pretty crazy, and also about a mass murderer, like the largest one in New Zealand. So I mean, I'll probably definitely check it out, but I haven't seen it yet, so gotta say no.
Unfortunately, it doesn't make the list. Then, Garth, what was the next movie you're going to bring up?
All right, I'll be predictable, and I'll go with The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. We've already covered it. That these are great movies, and he's great in them. So,
Richie, what do you say about Return of the King?
So you know how some people on here like to go, well, only one per franchise sort of thing, sort of deal. But I feel like maybe towards the end it'll be kind of struggling to get the 12th. So I think in Lord of the Rings is a trilogy as such where it's I think it's warranted to have two inclusion, double inclusions on this list. So I would say yes.
Chris, what do you say about Lord of the Rings: Return of the King?
Not to be the only other time where we mentioned a bunch of things in the franchise, but I love Return of the King. I love either version of it. I love the extended version. I love the regular edition. I think it's easily amazing movie, amazing directing, amazing action. It's just jaw-dropping at times, and I love it. As a Lord of the Rings fan, they should have just stopped with this and not do the Hobbit, and I just love all three Lord of the Rings.
Jordan, what do you say about Lord of the Rings: Return of the King?
Well, I was going to bring up the Two Towers, and I wasn't sure if I would bring up the Return of the King, but since everyone else brought it up, I agree. It's my second favorite Lord of the Rings movie, and all three Lord of the Rings, they're in my top 10 movies of all time. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I adore these movies, and he's a great character once again in the movie. So yeah, I think that warrants having both of them on there. So I'll say yes.
Sometimes depending on the actor, I will say, if they've been in a lot of franchise movies, I will say one per franchise. This is not one of those cases because, as Richie said, there's a lot of he's been in a lot of movies that either haven't been heard of or just a lot of big movies. Because I said at the show, half this list could easily be franchise movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an easy yes for Return of the King for me. And Richie, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
Well, speaking of franchise, I'm gonna go for a movie that surprised me because I've never been a huge fan of the series, but I'm gonna go 2009 Star Trek. I think Star Trek. I think this is a really good good version. I think J.J. Abrams did a really good job here. I just really, I really love all the characters, especially and particularly Carl's character, Lennon McCoy. I liked his portrayal of it. So yeah, I think it's a solid film. So I'll say Star Trek.
Chris, what do you say about Star Trek 2009?
Keep that ball going. I love Star Trek Online. This is a film that one of my friends suggested Star Trek between Ratchet and I thought Ratchet beat before there. Well, both. This is an amazing film. I think despite Eric Bana, if he performed, I think the rest of it great. It's visually amazing. Emotionally, it really hits on. Chris Hemsworth showing up the first 10 minutes of the film is amazing. Scott Oben's great. I love Van Bone. He's very funny. He keeps the laugh going. I love his one-liners all the time. Yeah, not the last time we did have a Star Trek movie mentioned here, but yes.
Jordan, what do you say about Star Trek 2009?
Damn it, I'm a doctor, not a space pilot, or insert whatever you want to insert there. Like, yeah, like he's great in it, and the 2009 one really blew me away. It might be my favorite of the series. I'm not sure yet. It kind of goes back between that one and Star Trek Beyond for me, but and I was never a huge fan of the original series either. I've always been a Next Generation guy, but maybe I want to go back and rewatch the original series, so I did that. So and yeah, Karl Urban's great, so that's an easy yes.
Yeah, Star Trek 2009 is actually the very first Star Trek I ever saw. As of yet, I still haven't. I've seen the motion picture, but I still haven't seen any of the other Star Treks. Sort of in between that. Eventually, I'm going to get around to just doing a deep dive in Star Trek. But yeah, Star Trek 2009. It's one that surprised me because like with me not having any knowledge of any previous Star Trek, like I wasn't sure if I had needed to see any of the other movies to sort of understand these characters, which is why I'm glad they took the whole reboot prequel sort of route. Alternate universe. I know there's a lot of people out there that's like hating on New Trek because of Abrams and Kurtzman or whatnots, but these new movies are really good. I don't get why they're hated on so much. But Garth, what do you say about Star Trek 09?
Yeah, I'm the opposite of Malcolm, who Star Trek was his first thing. For me, I grew up in the 70s watching the original series and even the animated series. And then I've watched every TV series since and every movie since. And yeah, these surprised me because it was like, oh, reboot with new actors playing the same. I thought it'd be awful, but they all really do good jobs on the characters. And Karl Urban as Dr. McCoy, especially. And I love they explain how he gets the nickname Bones, where he's like, my wife took everything, only left me with the bones, and so it's just real, this throwaway one liner, and you're like, oh, that's how he got the nickname, so really well made movies, and I like how they do tie in that it's an alternate timeline, but they bring in Leonard Nimoy and stuff, and showing that the old stuff still exists. So it's not like they wiped it from the map.
Yeah.
The original Star Trek crew still exists. So I love it.
But if that Star Trek 09 does make this list, Chris, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
So I do stay away from the comic book and the action franchise. I go with another film that I actually do love. I wanted to appear and I've been on content. I don't like the Disney remake, but this is one of the exceptions I do love. I think the original is okay. I talked about Pete Dragon. I think it's a fine kid movie, but I love the remake of Pete Dragon. And Karl is really good. Not really a villain per se, but he a good like antagonist in the film. Like, but you kind of understand where he's coming from. I think the kid relationship with Elliot Dragon is beautiful. The first the opening scene itself is heartbreaking stuff. Like, spoiler, begin with like the kid's parents being killed off in a car crash. You see the car crash happen. But it's a touching movie. Robert Redford is really good in it. Bryce Dallas Howard is really good in it. The dragon is amazing, and it feels like it does the right amount of being remade to the original, but make it own. And I freaking love this movie. I think it's one of the unseen Disney remake that more people should check out. The ending is beautifully emotional, like, at the end.
Jordan, what do you say about Pete's Dragon?
Yeah, so Pete's Dragon was one of those ones that was kind of hovering around like that 12th spot for me, but it's a really great remake. I really do like it, and compared to a lot of Disney remakes that of the live action that we've gotten, this one's like probably like in my top 5 of the live action Disney remake. It's really really solid, and Karl Urban really adds a lot to it, and it's one that's like really underseen. People don't talk about this movie enough. I think they should talk about it more. So I'll say yes to Pete's Dragon.
Yeah, I'm one of those ones that just doesn't really like this Pete's Dragon redone. I never really had any love for the original one either. I think it is a fine movie, but I'm gonna say no to it. Garth, what to say about Pete's Dragon?
And again, I'm the opposite of Malcolm. I watched the original Pete's Dragon when it came out and loved it, and I think this is a pretty good remake. I'm not a huge fan of these live action remakes with CGI and all that, but this one is one of the better ones, and there's a great cast in it, and always good to see Robert Redford, and so he was the highlight of the movie for me personally. But yeah, I'll say yes to it.
Richie, what do you say about Pete's Dragon?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Disney live action remakes either. I think they've been hit or miss. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of Cinderella. Jungle Book's pretty good. But yeah, I do like Pete's Dragon. I do remember watching the original back in the day. I don't remember much of it, but like so it almost when I went into it, it was almost really fresh to me. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it for what it was. Yeah, it's not like it's probably like Jordan was saying, it's probably going to hover around the bottom tier of the 12, but it's still, I think it's still deserving to be on the list when you see all the other filmography. So I would say yes.
And with that, Pete's Dragon does make this list. Jordan, what's the next movie you're going to bring up?
The next movie that I'll bring up, let's see. Well, we'll go with one that the franchise surprised me when I went to go see it, because my parents had read all the books and I never had, but after watching this franchise, I did go and start reading the books. Now I've read way past where the franchise is currently, and the books are great by Robert Ludlum, but I'm going to go with the Born Supremacy. So he just has a smaller role, that he's just one of the henchmen that's chasing Jason Bourne in a big action scene in the movie. But I think that it's great. It's a fun movie, and yeah, I think it's one that could deserve a spot on the list. So I'll go Born Supremacy.
Yeah, I recently rewatched watched all the Bourne movies for the first time earlier this year. And yeah, I think Born Supremacy is a pretty good movie. Like that original trilogy, I think is probably pretty good as an action trilogy. So I'm going to give Born Supremacy a yes. Garth, what do you say about the Born Supremacy?
Yeah, I like Jordan. I've read the books. I read them when they first came out and got into them, and there was a TV movie starring Richard Chamberlain that I actually really loved. And so these movies are a nice take on the story. And you know, he makes a really good villain and assassin. And not to spoil too much for people who haven't seen it, but what he does in this movie is like horrifying. It's like, oh wow, you shouldn't have done that. And the movie's packed with as most Bournes are, with great action scenes and great car chases and all that. And yeah, it's a definite yes for me.
Richie, what do you say about the Born Supremacy?
Yeah, I was probably going to bring this up next if it came around to me, and it hadn't been mentioned yet. So yeah, I was going to bring this up. Yeah, the Bourne franchise is really good, maybe except for Jason Bourne, but you know what? But yeah, like he makes a really good, really chilling villain, and yeah, no, it's a great role for him. So I would say.
Chris, what do you say about the Born Supremacy?
This was my introduction to Karl Urban. I remember seeing it theater, and I loved the first three Born. To talk about the other two at all. I think this is a great movie. Karl Urban is a great villain. Brian Cox is also a really good villain in it too. Everything is just great action. Kind of a little emotional part is what's going on with Jason Bourne. Like they not spoiling much on what Karl Urban done. And like you should not have done it to him. It's such a good movie. It probably it back and forth between that and the third for which one of my favorite out of three of them.
So, Chris, I'm just curious. You said it was your introduction to Karl Urban, so you saw this before the Lord of the Rings movies?
Oh wait. Okay, then Lord of the Rings. I think
I'm just curious. No, I mean it would have surprised me a little.
I know. No, Dan Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
my introduction to him.
I was almost going to make that same joke.
Yeah.
Because
I forget
I
when Bourne
Yeah.
came out that way for like wait.
Yeah.
everyone give Chris movie release dates of his next movies.
Yeah. All right.
But that being said, I'm going to continue my trend of getting things which I think are underseen, just because I think all the popular ones will be coming up eventually. And this one did actually come out the same year as Two Towers. I'm bringing up Ghost Ship.
That's my next one.
But yeah, this is one of those ones that, from the opening scene, just showing that whole death montage, in this whole movie, which it's a very chilling thing, and this whole movie is just really good. It's one of those ones that I don't want to say too much, because if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil anything for you, because there's a lot of twists and turns in this which you may not see coming. But Karl Urban's really good in this, and I think this movie is a really interesting but great horror movie all the same. Garth, what do you say about Ghost Ship?
Well, the good news for you is that I have seen it. Bad news for you is it's not what I like. This one's way down on the list for me. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I gotta say no to this. It's just was not for me. And you know, it's probably an okay horror movie, but it wasn't for me. So I gotta say no.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Richie, what do you say about Ghost Ship?
Yeah, I actually really like Ghost Ship. I haven't seen it in a while though, but yeah, I just remember like bloody as a teenager renting it out and just telling everybody about that fucking opening scene, which is very very like one of the most gnarly opening scenes of a horror movie I've seen in a while. Just just being heads being chopped off. Oh, it's amazing. But yeah, no, I think it's a I think it's a solid horror movie. It's not going to like blow anybody away, but I think it's you get fun with it. And I was definitely now I'm scrambling to find what else we're going to bring up because I was going to bring up. So, but yeah.
Oh, wow.
Chris, what do you say about Ghost Ship?
I only seen the opening bit because I've been on YouTube a bunch of watch lists before Mojo, and I haven't seen anything else in the movie. I like the opening bit, just like the reviews and some of what people said turned me off. I might give it a chance to watch it, but on journey.
Jordan, what do you say about Ghost Ship?
So I have seen it, and I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, it's fine. It's not like terrible. Like if we were talking about the opening scene alone, like that'd be a yes. But the rest of it just kind of drags. I don't know. It doesn't really do a lot for me. And it was one of the things where one of our other partners in the channel. For my channel, Chris Scott, we did his top 64, and Ghost Ship made his top 64 movies of all time.
Okay,
So I was shocked about. Yeah. So we had to kind of give him crap for that, but he's known for having hot takes like that. So, but yeah, like it's not that great. I mean, it's fine, but I don't think it's gonna make a top 12 for Karl Urban for me. No.
And yet I was the one that got the nickname Hot Take. Even more.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, he kind of deserves it.
But that being said, we'll probably have a hot take coming up later anyway. Garth, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
Okay, this gets tough because I've got in my order. I've got some franchise stuff that we've already got on there, so I'll jump down the list a little bit, and it's technically a franchise, but it's not something we've put on the list yet. I'll go with Red.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah. Nice.
So another comics book movie, that has sequels and stuff. But he was a really great villain in this. The fight scenes between him and Bruce Willis are amazing. And it's a good adaptation of the comics. Obviously, they change stuff like they always do, but it's still interesting to see these characters on screen, and the whole cast is great. So yeah, that's my recommendation.
Richie, what do you say about Red?
I say, God damn it! I'm about to. I'm going to struggle to find another one, but yeah, that's fine. Red's a solid movie. He's really good in it. I think it's one of the. I think when you think of Bruce Willis, especially later on, you're like, oh yeah, no, he just makes these bad movies. But like, Red was not one of them. I think Red is a lot of fun. Like all the cast is great. And it's not. I mean, technically a franchise, but I wouldn't mind. I personally, maybe I wouldn't mind seeing the third one, to be honest. Red. I'll say yes.
Chris, what do you say about Red?
I don't rewatch both this and Red 2 back to back for trivia purposes. I love the movie. I love the Red to death. I think it's high entertainment. Karl Urban again, Bruce Willis, the office scene is so good. Seeing them beat the crap out of each other so much. I love John Malkovich in it. I love Morgan Freeman in it. I love the whole cast. It's a fun movie from start to finish. And Karl Urban is good at it. Eventually a bit. Eventually came back to take for Madonna. Karl Urban should have been in the mid and that. Well, that replaying his character.
Jordan, what do you say about Red?
Actually love this movie, and Karl Urban might be my favorite part of the movie. He's really great, and that's going up against John Malkovich and Helen Mirren and Morgan Freeman. He just plays a great villain, and like you guys all said, the fight scenes between him and Bruce Willis are really, really great, and like I wish we could have saw him in the second movie, but and the first Red, is definitely my favorite one. The second one's still good. I mean, and I'm kind of like Richie. I wouldn't mind seeing a third one, but yeah, this movie is great, and Carl Urban's like one of the best parts of it. So I'll say yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen this. This is the one I did try to find for this, but so the library didn't have it on DVD, and it's not streaming anywhere for me. But it's definitely one I'll check out eventually. But
Oh,
yeah,
so
it
it's
makes
not-
it makes the list. It makes the list regardless. So
I always forget foreign countries because it's on HBO Max here, and I always
Yeah, on HBO Max.
That's the annoying thing is like every country has a different sort of library. So it's like, yeah.
Yep.
and some countries just don't have HBO Max yet.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Is I always forget stuff like that.
And some countries have like weird movies on Disney Plus, like a fucking, R-rated stuff. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, like
Yeah.
To be fair, I wouldn't like if it's Fox. I wouldn't be surprised if they eventually make their way to Disney Plus in the States. Now that they've gone R-rated on Disney Plus over there as well. But
Yep.
but that being said, Richie, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
All right, I'll bring it up. Movie that I thought was pretty good. I'm not like high on it, but it is pretty good. And one of his better films in his filmography, like this guy's filmography. I'll bring up Chronicles of Riddick. Yeah, I think this movie is pretty good. I think Karl's really good in it. Thanks. I don't know what that noise was, but thanks.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those few like ones that aren't Fast and Furious that I can tolerate from Vin Diesel. So and Carl's good in it. So it's like Chronicles of Riddick.
Chris, you got a bit of staticky noise around
Oh,
on your
okay,
end.
that's fair.
But Chris, what do you say about Chronicles of Riddick?
This would be my next pick.
Ooh, man.
Actually, this is the Disney president.
Stop,
I
Chris.
wanna go out and
Stop.
come back in, bro.
Your mic is playing up. You've
Yeah, your
gone
mic is all
robot-y.
Hold on.
Sounds like it's.
Let me see.
You sound like you're screaming at a high pitched voice.
Yeah, it's like a drive-through at like the volume 20.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
That's
Yep,
good.
no, it's all good now.
Much
Sorry.
better.
Probably when I was hitting a fire on my computer, so it probably hit it. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's all good.
This is my next pick. I think a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't think it's a great movie, but it's a fun movie. I do enjoy the Reddit movie to death, and that one scene involving the cave is one of the more interesting. I forget it's been a while since I've seen it, but it's been great, fun movie. I actually would love to see more Riddick. I also love video games as well. So yeah, so a slight yet to Chronicle of Riddick. I don't want to get any bad one. I know Malcolm might bring up.
Jordan, what do you say about Chronicles of Riddick?
Yeah, the Chronicles of Riddick is actually probably. I mean, it's up there with Pitch Black, but it might be my favorite of the Riddick franchise. It's pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to say that the Riddick franchise is any kind of masterpiece or anything, but for a Karl Urban movie, like it makes about the middle of my list. I mean, middle to the end. Maybe it goes at like 9 or 10 slot for me. So, but Karl Urban's great in it, and yeah, I'll say yes.
Yeah, for me, this movie was nowhere near movies that I was really looking forward to watching for this. I've heard nothing but bad things about this. It was one that I'd like, if I get to it, I get to it. I had a lot of other blind spots I wanted to sort of cover for this that if I could find them, I would. So, yeah, I haven't seen this. Scarf, what do you say about the Chronicles of Riddick?
Although I had seen it before, I rewatched it this week for this, and it's not brilliant, but it's fun entertainment. I mean, obviously, Pitch Black will stay the best of the franchise.
Mhm.
They're working on a fourth one now, so we'll see how that goes. But this one with Karl Urban as Vaco was really good, and I love the the whole political intrigue of of the necromancers and how he's plotting with Sanduay Newton, to we got to take out the big guy. Let's let Riddick do it for us. So it's interesting political intrigue and space stuff, and Vin Diesel kicking butt. So yeah, it's yes for me.
That Chronicles of Riddick does make this list. Chris, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
So we're heading into the last three that I have seen. I want to avoid the last one the best I can, but I try to go with one franchise we already mentioned before. I try to go with the better of the two for me. We might mention the other one. Go with Star Trek Beyond. Like, I love Star Trek Beyond. I think this the film. Every time we watch it, I love it more and more. When we watch, I think it's forever. It's a great villain. I love the team of Spock and Bone in the movie. Their back and forth is very funny. I think a great closure for the cast for right now until we hopefully get some more in the future. And a tribute to Anton Yelchin. I thought the tribute to Len Nimoy was really good. Yeah, this is a great movie. I love Star Trek Beyond. My second favorite out of the newer trilogy of Star Trek.
Jordan, what do you say about Star Trek Beyond?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Chris. It's my second favorite of the series, and yeah, it's a fun time, and especially like all the stuff that they do down on that planet when they have, I want to say it's Sophia Butella just down as like that like alien character, and they go find the remains of an old ship and some of that stuff. It's a fun time, and I would say yes. I think this is another one that probably would deserve to have 2 entries on here at least. So yeah, I'll say yes.
Yeah, I think Star Trek Beyond's fine. It's my third favorite in this new trilogy. But I'm going to give it a slight yes because with Out in the Blue Ghost Ship not making it on, it moves up a couple of spots in my personal list of. So it's with that it just makes my personal top 12. So it's a slight yes. Garth, what do you say about Star Trek Beyond?
Yeah, we've already got one Star Trek, but so we might get picked on by the people for putting too much franchises in here, but I definitely got to say yes to this because I really love it, and I probably would have brought it up next if you got around to me.
I mean, that being said, with Karl Urban, they may be more forgiving of it.
Yeah,
True.
I was going to say, like, if you look at his filmography, and I'm looking through it, like, to see if it comes back to me, there's very, like, we've mentioned most of them. I mean,
Yeah.
slim.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies most people haven't seen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, a few.
So with that being said, as Malcolm would say, that being said, usually maybe with an actor, it's got maybe a bigger filmography or more with him. More filmography people have seen. I would stick to the one per franchise rule. Can't do it here. And Star Trek Beyond is a great movie. I really enjoy it. It's probably my second favorite. Great soundtrack too. With the Beastie Boys. And so yes, I will say yes.
That Star Trek Beyond does make this list. Jordan, we go to you.
Let's see. Probably for my next one, in lieu of bringing up another franchise movie yet again, I think that I'll bring up the movie Priest. So it was a movie that I didn't have very high expectations for, and actually walked away really, really liking it. It's one of the better ones that I saw in 3D too. So they did a good job there, and Paul Bettany blew me away in the role, and then having Karl Urban in there as well, Christopher Plummer. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. That movie, like one of those ones where the expectations start down low and they end up like way up here. So yeah, I'll go with Priest. Let's see what you guys think.
Yeah, Priest is one that I watched for this. I hadn't heard much about this sort of going in. It's a interesting movie to say the least, but once again, just like with Star Trek Beyond, this is one that moved up with the fact that Out of the Room Ghost Ship didn't make it on, so it's a slight yes for me. Garth, what do you say about Priest?
Yeah, I believe this is based on comics I haven't read. I'm not sure, 100% sure on that. But my favorite part of this movie is the animated intro. I just really love how it opens the movie. And it's a well done movie and a very unique story. So yeah, this gets a yes from me.
Richie, what do you say about Priest?
I have seen Priest. When I first saw it, I remember not liking it much at all. I wasn't a fan of like the special effects. Thought it was boring. But I don't know, man. In lieu of if we go, there's some vacants here, and maybe I need to give it a rewatch because I seem to there are people who really like this movie. So you know what, I'm gonna say yes.
But Chris, what do you say about Priest?
Funny story. So I was supposed to see this in theater back in 2011. We went to my theater where I used to work out. It wasn't playing, so my dad left and I saw Blind Brain instead. So I never got around to see Priest. I think I might have been lucky to see Blind Brain that day. But I might watch eventually because I'll come up movie and debut on somebody to geek list a movie to watch. So I will get around to it.
But yeah, for me there was one spot left, and
Don't.
it's on me.
Shoot your shot, Malcolm.
Yep.
So I can
Thanks,
either
Bill.
go with a franchise one that already has 2 spots here, or I can go with my hot take. I'm going to go with my hot take. Look,
No,
people, I go into video game movies expect to see a fun movie.
Oh.
Doom is a fun movie. Look, I had no expectations going into this of this movie because I'm not a fan of the Doom video games. I really not. But the movie is a lot of fun. It's one of those ones that gets a lot of hate from the game purists because the gun does not work the way it worked in the game, and that is a legit complaint I've heard about the movie. But Garth, what do you say about Doom?
Yeah. Sorry, Malcolm. I know you got to shoot your shot, but yeah, you know, The Rock and other people in this can't save it. Yet another in the long line of the bad video game adaptations, and yeah, I'm not a fan of the game, but all my friends who played the game were pissed off that the BFG was wrong. So it was a failure even to fans of Doom. So I gotta say no to this.
I mean, when it comes to video game movies, if you change one thing about the game, people are going to not like it for that reason, especially if they're big fans of the games. Big example is Uncharted.
Yep.
Which I liked, despite being a fan of the game. So
Same. Yeah.
It was okay.
One of my
Richie,
favorite video games of all time.
Anyway.
But I love the movie. It's good.
anyway,
I'm
Cowboy episode Uncharted. Richie, what do you say about it?
I'm torn because I don't like it's not the shit. It's not as shit. Maybe as shit as some people think it is, but it's still shit. You know what I mean? Like it's. If you compare Doom to other video game movies, it's got a very, very low bar. So yeah, so it's like the list really, it's not like and like it was women before they. I'm glad that The Rock recovered from this because he only just started to become a movie star and he already had that kind of blunder on his head. But and I feel bad. I do feel bad for Karl Urban because he's like one of the main guys, but The Rock's all over the market material. Someone but we don't. There's slim pickings here. I'll.
Don't, Richie. Don't.
no,
You still got
No,
one more franchise to go with. We should put on the list.
no, I can't do it. No.
hey, let him make his own decisions.
Chris, what do you say about Doom? Even if you have to ask.
Oh god! Anybody remember me on LinkedIn with to what people know? I ran a rant about this movie. I do not like this movie. I love the game. I freaking love the game of this movie and insult to the game in a lot of ways. There's only one cool sequence and the rest of the movie sucks. I'm sorry, I cannot bring myself to say yes. This is.
Jordan, what would you have said about Doom?
Yeah. So Doom, as far as the game goes, I remember that the first time I ever played it was my cousin came over and he just booted it up off of DOS, and I thought that he was like entering some kind of secret code password to bring up some crazy game. I'm like what the frick is this? This is awesome. And like I spent hours playing Doom and the original Wolfenstein, those two, but the movie's not good. The movie is bad. And I remember going over to a friend's house. Is one of those like movie nights. Get a bunch of friends together and watch a movie. And we started watching Doom. And then halfway through, we're like, "You guys want to go do something else?" And we just like turned it off. Or we were just like this is not good. And like even with The Rock, and then like this should be better than this with The Rock. But and Karl Urban, like you can't save it either. So I gotta say no.
All right, that it doesn't make the list. Garth, one spot left. What do you have to bring up?
Yeah, with the last spot left, and looking at the list, and I gotta be predictable and go with Star Trek Into Darkness. I know we've already got two of the Star Treks on here, but looking at the rest of the list, I'm like, I don't know. I was hoping I would like the movie Pathfinder more because it's about Vikings, but it wasn't up my alley. So I got to be predictable and go with another Star Trek.
Richie, what do you say about Star Trek Into Darkness?
Yeah, I think we, like there's no really other other solid ones that stick out, to be honest. So I have to say yes. I probably put my least favorite of the trilogy, but it's still a good movie. I still enjoy it. So I mean that alone warrants it on this list. It's a cover movie that's left that I enjoyed. So yeah. So yes.
Chris, what do you say about Star Trek Into Darkness?
I like this movie. I have issues it as a Star Trek fan with the way they redo Retcon all over again last half hour of the movie. And it bothered me on movie watches. But I do like this movie. I think the first half, up until the con reveal, and right up until after Peter the Robocop guy died, it's good. What it become a rip-off of Retcon, that really my biggest problem with the film come. But that first half, I love. I think Bonin did it really good in it. They had really good funny one-liner. I think it's great actor. I think Cumberbatch is really good, despite the whole con thing. And everybody doing a great job. It should be on bonus on my ranking because the last half of the movie.
Jordan, what do you say about Star Trek Into Darkness?
Yeah, it's probably my least favorite of the three. Yeah, I don't really like how they handled the whole con situation. Like they I can't remember like the name that they gave Benedict Cumberbatch.
John Harrison.
Yeah, John Harrison. But it's like when the trailers came out, even from the trailers, you already knew that it was the worst kept secret in Hollywood that he's playing Khan. That's pretty obvious, and like I don't even like how he portrayed it. I mean, you're not gonna beat the original. The original is iconic, but still, I mean, just because of the lack of anything else to put on the list is either gonna come down to this or maybe the 2013 Riddick, but I think that I'd pick Star Trek. Yeah,
Cameos in there.
Yeah, he's barely even in it. So, and I don't like Pathfinder either. So, I
I
actually think
just
that's one of
Skywalker, so that's the only other choice.
yeah, and
I mean,
actually
Rise of
Pathfinder.
Skywalker is also a cameo.
Yeah, but Pathfinder is actually one of the worst movies I've ever seen. That movie's like trash. But yeah, so I'll say yes to Star Trek Into Darkness because at the end of the day, it's still a decent movie. So yeah.
Yeah, Star Trek Into Darkness is my favorite of the trilogy. I loved it. Hey, I said earlier I've never seen the original series, so
Yeah, sure.
I know people keep saying it's a Ravicon ripoff. I had no frame of reference when I went to see it.
Same
I
here.
enjoyed it. So yeah, it's an easy yes for me, and that wraps up the list. Garth, did you have any other mentions?
Oh, you not?
Not really. I mean, like we just said, with Riddick, he's not in it much. He's only in it for like 10 minutes, so I kind of didn't want to count that. Same with Rise of Skywalker. You don't see him; he's just a random stormtrooper like Daniel Craig. And then the other movies that I watched a lot of them, and I was just like, no, Price of Milk maybe, but that's about it.
Richard, did you have any honorable mentions?
No. Shortland Street, but no. No, it's a TV show. I don't. Other than no, I think that was pretty much covered everything.
Chris, did you have any honorable mentions?
Besides the one we sadly not a lot of people have seen the CP. No, I would just say anybody go watch the CP. So you want to see his best acting, go watch The Boys on Amazon Prime.
Jordan, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, that's the same thing I was gonna say. Like, can we shut up the boys here, maybe? Because there's not really much else to really like say here. So, no, I don't really have any. I think we covered it all.
And written by.
I mean, you could have shouted it out in honorable mentions if you wanted, because it wasn't going to count for the list, regardless.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Boys season 1, 2, and 3. There, honorable mention.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the other two movies I'd sort of watched for this that I would have brought up had Star Trek and Chronicles not made it on. Acts of Vengeance is I think it was a Netflix original. I'm not too sure, but
Yeah,
it's also got Antonio Banderas in it. It's a good movie. And the other one that he's not in it a lot, but there's a brief sort of live action scene at the start. But it's Walking with Dinosaurs, the movie.
I watched it. Yeah,
I mean, look, I had no expectations going into that, but I had a lot of fun with it. I just didn't bring it up because Karl Urban's basically like in that starting bit, like he's not really in the movie a lot.
I'm just happy nobody brought up The Loft. That is one of his worst movies.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm going to.
PU.
So I think Stephen would disagree with you there.
Yeah.
And I also saw Pathfinder. I was never going to bring that up in a million years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, and it was a shame because I'm really into Vikings and
Same, like my
all that
ancestors
stuff,
come
and
from
so I
Vikings.
was like excited for it, and nope.
Yeah.
I mean, it even has Clancy Brown in it, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But now to sort of recap the movie that are on here, we've got Thor Ragnarok, Dread, Two Towers, Return of the King, all three Star Trek, Pete's Dragon, Born Supremacy, Red, Chronicles of Riddick, and Priest. Now, right on the board, what you want at number 12. But Garth, what do you have for number 12?
I'm gonna go with Pete's Dragon.
Richie.
I said Priest.
Chris.
I don't even want to have a thing yet, Priest.
Jordan.
I'm gonna go with Pete's Dragon. So it's up to you, Malcolm.
I also went with Pete's Dragon.
Oh
wow.
All right.
I'm not changing my vote here. See, for my head, I'm kind of glad that's not Blackman instead of Priest.
Richie, what do you have for 11?
I sticking with Priest.
Chris?
Yeah, same here, Priest.
Jordan?
And I also have Priest.
I've got Star Trek Beyond. Garth?
I want Priest.
Ooh. Might be a quick episode. We'll see.
We might not even have to go to the chat. That's it.
Yep.
Well, I mean, we've got 5 people. We're not going to get a tie we're going to need the chat for, because unless all 5 of us go for a different movie, of course. But
Yeah.
It happened before.
I mean, it's happened before, but that's very rare that in cases that it happens. But Chris, what do you have for 10?
Yeah, a guilty pleasure if I had to do Chronicles of Riddick.
Jordan, what do you have?
Sorry, I'm still writing it, but it's the Chronicles of Riddick. There you go.
Star Trek Beyond still. Garth?
Chronicles of Riddick.
Richie?
Chronicles of Riddick.
Chronicles of Riddick is going to be 10.
Damn.
Between 2 here, but I'm going with that.
It's already getting tough.
Yeah.
No, easy for me. I go with the one I like the least out of it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steven.
I mean, I stand by it. I don't think Priest is a bad movie. I mean, I gave it 3 stars for me, but I don't think it's bad. I would watch that over Peter Regan anytime. But Jordan, what do you have for 9?
I have Red.
I'm sticking with Star Trek Beyond. Garth?
Yeah, unfortunately, Red.
Richie?
Red.
Chris?
Star Trek Into Darkness, my least favorite. I thought it not better. Red is better.
But Red is going to be 9.
I'm not changing my vote.
But for 8, I've got Star Trek Beyond. Garth?
One moment. I'll go with the Born Supremacy.
Richie?
Star Trek Into Darkness.
Chris?
Come on! Star Trek Into Darkness.
Jordan?
Yeah, Star Trek Into Darkness. It's gotta be.
Okay, okay, now to pick which one of my least favorite children here. Give me a second, I'll get looking at what we have left.
Richie, what do you have for 7?
Born Supremacy.
Chris?
Star Trek Beyond.
Jordan?
I totally forgot that I had to change my answer because I forgot. Born Supremacy is still on the list, so yeah, Born Supremacy.
Star Trek Beyond, but Born Supremacy is going to be 7.
You didn't ask me because you already knew I had it.
Well, at that point, yeah. That's right.
That point, I forgot.
Yeah.
I have a back and forth between those two. I like which one do I like more.
Which coincidentally is at the same spot it is on my personal top 12 list. Just to recap what we've got left, we've got Star Trek 09 and Beyond, Lord of the Rings 2000 Return of the King, Dread, and Thor Ragnarok.
That'd be tough.
Garth, what do you have for 6?
Star Trek Beyond.
Richie,
Star Trek Beyond.
Chris,
Star Trek Beyond.
Jordan,
Man, I don't know why I keep forgetting it, but I have Star Trek Beyond. I just am still
clicked
writing
all the
it, so-
clean sweep Star Trek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it becomes tough.
Oof.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Hmm.
I
Oh, that's a tough. What did they remember it?
Richie, what do you have for number 5?
Return of the King.
Chris,
Star Free or Star Ragnarok. Didn't have time to write the whole time.
Jordan,
Yeah, I'm basing my last 5 just on how much I actually like his performance overall. So even though the movie's great, I got to go Thor Ragnarok.
I went Dread. Garth.
I went Dread.
Tie.
So we've got 2 Dreads, 2 Thor Ragnaroks. So Richie, Thor Ragnarok or Dread? Which one do you want at 5?
I'll say Thor Ragnarok.
Right. Shape up to be just like my personal.
Thank God.
And here's me hoping to get Thor Ragnarok at 4.
Malcolm okay.
Chris, what do you have for 4?
Just because he's rolled pretty small, and I prefer him in the third one, Lord of the Rings: The Two Tower.
Get Jordan.
I'm gonna go with Star Trek 09.
Dread. Garth.
Dread.
Richie.
Yeah, I was going to Dread then. I'm saying Return of the King.
Dread
Yes.
is going to be at 4.
Ooh. Ouch.
That was my personal one.
First one that doesn't follow my list. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think you put Thor Dread.
Yeah.
You should
What
just say
was
the Raid Dread.
It's number 4 on the list.
Thor Dread, that's the sequel to Thor Thunder. It's Thor Dread.
What happened when he go to Valhalla? He become Dread.
I want to see that crossover.
Ah, shit.
But Chris, what do you have for number 3?
Yeah, taking to my gun. Dr. Two Tower, just because I prefer Return of the King. I do prefer.
Jordan.
Yeah, I have Star Trek 09 still.
Star Trek 09. Garth.
Star Trek 09.
Richie.
Star Trek, I changed it.
God damn it, Don.
All right.
And now instead of going for the number 2, we're just going to put down our number 1s.
Number 1. Okay.
Not my number 1, but so.
Spoiler alert, it's probably going to be a Lord of the Rings movie.
Really? Oh. Not going to be The Price of Milk? Oh, that didn't make the list. Or
the bear.
yeah.
But Garth, what do you want number 1?
The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
Richie.
Two Towers.
Chris.
Despite the many ending, that's my favorite Lord of the Rings movie, The Return of the King.
Jordan.
Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
I went Return of the King, but Two Towers is going to be number one.
Yeah.
Boo.
The best friendship story ever put to cinema. I stand by that with Sam and Frodo.
In my heart, Dreadwell would be my number one, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
I think
yeah,
Dread should have been a little higher, but it's fine.
it's
But with that being said, here is our top 12 Carl Urban movies. At number 12, we've got Pete's Dragon. At 11, we got Priest. At 10, we got Chronicles of Riddick. At 9, we got Red. At 8, we got Star Trek Into Darkness. At 7, we got the Born Supremacy. At 6, we got Star Trek Beyond. At 5, we got Thor Ragnarok. At 4, we got Dread. At 3, we got Star Trek 09. At 2, we got Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. At number 1, we got The Two Towers. But I've got the poll up already for what you want next week's topic to be. So go vote on that and decide the topic for next week. Garth, where can people find you online?
Garth McMurray on Twitter and Facebook, and Garth_McMurray on Instagram, where you can see some of my comics art. And tonight you can tune into the Cinefanatics channel at 10:30 Eastern Time, where we'll be doing a marquee ranking MCU movies, and this will be just part one. There's going to be like 3 parts, so we're just actually going to cover the early years. We're covering Iron Man to Thor Ragnarok tonight, so tune into that.
Nice.
But Richie, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me. I'm always on Jordan's channel, Movie Hero. I think is it tomorrow, Jordan? Is Austin's or is that's coming up soon, right?
Yeah. That'll be
Yeah.
tomorrow night. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
cool.
Austin's Top 128, Part 1.
Cool. Make a chat for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm always late on those. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I'll be on that. I'll be looking forward to that because I think me and Austin sort of vibe quite similarly with movies. So yeah, it'd be fun. And then I'm on there a lot. I'm sure there's other. I sign up for a lot of those things. I can't remember exactly everyone else sign up for, but I'll be on there. I'm also like Jordan Owens just recently has restarted doing trivia on his channel after moving, so I'll be on I think on the Wednesday doing general trivia. Then you can find me every Thursday on the I think we're doing Friday this week because just scheduling issues. So Friday next week on the Movie Here Channel doing the Lonely Marks podcast, me Jacob Barber, Jordan Owens, and sometimes Austin Pessow. Not sure what we're talking about yet. Just going through the news. Probably preview the Ring of Honor pay per view that's coming up soon. And probably I think we're doing an alphabet draft. So we have to starting with A, we've got to draft a wrestler starting with letter A. So and then so on and so forth. So that should be fun. So that should be fun. But other than that, I pop up here and there elsewhere as well. So
Jordan, where can people find you online?
You can find me on other social media at Movie Hero 2121, and you can also find us on Facebook in the Schmodown Friends and Family group, and then just a couple. Oh, and also too, I'll be doing. After this, I'll be doing one of my snack heroes. I've been doing some shorter content on our channel, so I got a couple of snacks I'm going to be reviewing after this. So if you want, you can tune into that. And then just a couple episodes we have coming up. So Richie mentioned Austin's Top 128 Favorite Movies, Part 1. That'll be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and then we weren't able to find enough people to do best 70 sitcoms. So in lieu of that, on a Tuesday, there's going to be up as a poll in the Schwinn Friends and Family group to vote on maybe the top 20, and we'll narrow it down to 10 that'll make the list. But also in lieu of that, we're going to be doing a top 12 frenzy. So our kind of top 12 trivia game. Austin's going to host. He came up with a whole bunch of categories, and we're still looking for some guests. So if anyone wants to be a guest and do some top 12 trivia, hit me up and we'll try to put you on that. And then also we have the following Sunday we're doing best movies of 2020 and Malcolm and Richie are both going to be on that one. So you can look forward to those. So that's pretty much where you can find me.
Yeah, you can find me on Take 3 hosting Rankin every week. Next week, as I said, the poll for next week's up, so go vote. And you can also find me over on Full Metal, where I host Random every week. This week is going to be Hawaii Five-0 and Harry Potter happening this week. Hawaii Five-0 is going to be Alan Shepard taking on Zachary Shelton, and Harry Potter is going to be Stacey taking on Nauzette and taking on David. So it's two great matches probably going to be happening. It's going to be a lot of fun. But until next time,
Chris didn't get the plug.
Chris, where can people find you online?
Don't forget Chris.
Yeah. So you can find me anywhere on Letterboxd, Facebook. I got debate coming up pretty soon. I got my 2 recent matches, both team. Then in opening a Trivia Geek, I made my debut in a pretty impressive game. Same with team, actually. And just find me on Letterboxd. I am right now rewatching all the MCU movies, so you see my what stars I give each one. I'm now rewatching some the Dark Realms on Facebook at the moment.
Sorry about
that. Are we done? Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Not yet. I forgot I had that clip in there. But that being said, now we're done. And I don't have anything else to say about that except
Yeah.
I love you all.